It's back. That haunting, tape-fed sound that changed rock forever. From ghostly choirs to symphonic strings, these Mellotron masterpieces will stop you in your tracks. This is part 2 of the top Mellotron moments in progressive rock's history. Now, there was an extraordinary response to part 1, so I'll put a card on the video and a link in the description somewhere up there. This is a celebration of one of the weirdest, most wonderful instruments in rock history. It's not a synth, it's not a sampler, it's the Mellotron. It's a glorious, unpredictable machine that plays back recordings of real instruments on tape every time you press a key. Now, it wheezes, it warbles, and it sounds absolutely majestic when used correctly. So let's dive in. 10 more Mellotron moments that made us stop in our tracks and whisper, "What is that sound?" Now let's start with a legend, the opening to Strawberry Fields Forever, that fluttering flute. Yeah, it's not a real flute, that's the Mellotron. The Beatles were one of the first major bands to use it, and what a way to introduce it. That fluty intro has the weird, wistful, slightly unstable feel that's pure Mellotron DNA. It's like nostalgia and psychedelia had a baby, and that baby is tripping on mushrooms. George Martin called the track one of the greatest records we've ever made. High praise indeed. And the Mellotron helped take it out of Liverpool and into some dreamy alternative dimension. Now, from wistful to disturbing, King Crimson Circus is like being trapped inside a Victorian clown's nightmare. But make it prog. The Mellotron is huge in this one, especially the chorus where it drops a full orchestral storm on you. It swings from sparse and eerie to symphonic thunder, creating this intense theatrical vibe. It's a bit like Beethoven meets the Joker, but that wobble, that slightly off feeling, that's the Mellotron doing what it does best, making you feel like the floor's about to give away under your feet. Ground control to Major Tom. You all know that line, but behind that iconic vocal is something quietly brilliant. Rick Wakeman used the Mellotron to create those swelling, floating string textures. And during the floating in a most peculiar way part, oh man, that Mellotron lifts the whole thing into orbit. And I'm floating in a most peculiar way. It's space-age melancholy on a budget. A DIY orchestra for DIY spacemen. Bowie blended folk, sci-fi and tape loop wizardry to create something totally new. It's not just a song, it really is a short film, probably of the future, in 4 minutes. Now, the Mellotron was basically a full band member for the Moody Blues. But by the time of I'm Just a Singer, they'd learned how to use it more strategically. This one's a rocker, there's drums, guitars, there's power vocals and chords and harmonies, but listen closely in the chorus and the instrumental breaks. You'll hear those familiar orchestral Mellotron textures sneaking in to add drama and grandeur. It doesn't dominate the track like in their earlier stuff, but when it kicks in, it lifts the whole thing like a symphonic booster rocket. Subtle, but glorious. A gentle giant were the brainiacs of prog. Their arrangements were so complex, they probably needed spreadsheets to rehearse. In Three Friends, the Mellotron is used like seasoning. Never overwhelming, but always adding depth. You get those rich strings and choir sounds during the emotional peaks. It's like the Mellotron really is the narrator of the story, offering commentary and lush musical brushstrokes. It supports, it uplifts, it never shouts. I don't know. Let's talk about the masterpiece now that is Genesis' Entangled. And this starts off as a gentle folk-inspired piece. But then the coda hits, and oh boy, Tony Banks unleashes that Mellotron choir. This part is what dreams sound like. Now, if your dreams are scored by floating monks in a church suspended in space. It slowly builds, layer by layer, into a shimmering choral wall of sound. It's haunting, it's beautiful, and it's probably responsible for more goosebumps than a horror movie marathon. Tony Banks didn't just use the Mellotron, he painted with it. Cardboard Watch by the end opens with, well, you've guessed it, a lovely Mellotron part that sets the tone right from the very first second. It's lush, it's floaty, and it pulls you in. Now, it's not a song everyone knows, but if you're a Mellotron head, it's one of those tracks that makes you go, wait, what is that? Definitely one for your Mellotron Moments playlist. Now, before they were makers of rumours and relationship dramas, Fleetwood Mac had a more psychedelic ethereal phase. The Ghost from Bare Trees is a moody, misty beauty. And the Mellotron? Well, it doesn't scream for attention, it just hovers in the background, adding ghostly string and choir textures that give the whole track a spectral vibe. It's more felt than heard, like emotional scaffolding or a musical fog. And it's fitting since this was one of the very first contributions that Christine McVie made to the band. Quite brilliant. Druid were one of those almost famous prog bands, but man, they came out swinging. Their debut, Towards the Sun, was produced by Whispering Bob Harris, of all people, and some top-notch Mellotron work, especially in the track Voices. The line, "A million voices singing," is mirrored by this sweeping Mellotron choir that washes over you like a cosmic wave. It's dreamy, it's dramatic, and it's really very prog. Now, in the title track, the Mellotron becomes a bridge between musical sections, binding the parts together like symphonic glue, sweet, smart, and soaring. All right, it's time to bring us crashing into the modern day, and who better to do that than Steven Wilson? He's the high priest of modern prog, the guy who's remixed half his vinyl collection probably, and snuck Mellotron into more places than you perhaps realise. Now, his track Luminol is simply a beast. 10 minutes of shape-shifting brilliance from the Raven That Refused to Sing album. Now, Wilson is no stranger to the Mellotron. He's basically its modern ambassador. But with Luminol, he doesn't just use it for retro charm. He really weaponises it. Now, around the midsection of the song, after you've been pummeled by a furious jazz prog sprint, the music shifts. Things get misty, the tempo cools, and in glides the Mellotron choir. It's absolutely spectral. It rises slowly like fog creeping over a lake at midnight. There's a ghostly beauty to it that's so rich and cinematic it could have soundtracked a gothic horror film, or at least a particularly moody episode of Black Mirror. And the best part, Wilson uses it like an emotional anchor. After all that complexity and chaos, the Mellotron brings in a moment of calm transcendence. It's like a spirit arriving to offer some cryptic wisdom before disappearing back into the reverb again. Now, if you've ever doubted that the Mellotron could still be relevant in the 21st century, this is your wake-up call. It's not just a nostalgia machine, it's a full-on time travel device in the right hands. So that, my Mellotron loving friends, is another 10 moments of pure magic from this wonderful beast of an instrument. What do you think? Whether it's creating a sense of space, sorrow, or sublime beauty, the Mellotron remains one of the most unique and emotionally powerful tools in rock's toolbox. Never sounds like a computer, it always sounds like a memory. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet, so let me know in the comments, what are your favourite Mellotron moments? Maybe we'll do a part 3. Or maybe I'll just build a shrine to Tony Banks. We'll see. Do me a favour, like the video if you have enjoyed it. And the video on screen now is the first video I shot in this series. Watch that one next, and I'll see you over there.